The reason why Yang Kai wanted to come to the black market was really due to some lasting difficulties. And the biggest problem is that there are more than 300 source congealing pills. These source congealing pills was secretly stored by him, and he couldn't use it all. If he kept it, it would be wasted, and if he want to sell it, there was no good channel. After all, the origin of these source congealing pill was not so fair and honest. Yang Kai couldn't always open a shop to sell these pills. If he did that, he would definitely be criticized by the people of Spirit Pill Workshop. So he can only come to this black market. This is the best and most suitable place. He basically has no source crystals in his hands, and after selling this batch of spirit pills, he can save it in some way. After a short while, a chubby man opened the door and walked in. The fat man was red-faced and covered in fat. When he walked, the floor creaked, and his eyes were narrowed into a gap, and the gap was shining. As soon as he entered, the fat man enthusiastically clasped his fists and said, "Jin Fugui, I have seen this young man. He knows not to ask Yang Kai's name, because people who come here don't like others to inquire about themselves." Yang Kai stood up and said, "Treasurer Jin is polite." Looking up and down, Yang Kai surprisingly discovered that this fat man was also a martial artist of the Third Order Void King realm, and the strength in his body was extremely powerful, and it seemed that the source strength was completely transformed. This kind of existence is a lot in Maplewood City, but there are definitely not many. Just like Kongsaran and Zhou Ningxi, they can all be regarded as strong in Maplewood City. Jin Fugui sat down with a gentle face, and the chair under his buttocks groaned. He smiled and looked at Yang Kai and said, "Listening to my friend. Does the guest have a batch of spirit pills that need to be sold?" "Exactly." Jin Fugui heard this, his small eyes lit up, and he said, "Dare to ask the customer what kind of spirit pill?" Jin also has some face in Maplewood City, so if the customer trades here, you can rest assured that Jin has always made fair bids, it is well received, and will never reveal the least bit of information about the guests. Please relax your mind on this point. It's the best that Treasurer Jin can say that. Yang Kai nodded. Reached out and took out a jade bottle from his space ring. Pushing it in front of Jin Fugui, "Treasurer Jin, take a look, I'm going to sell this kind of pill." Jin Fugui looked up at Yang Kai, then picked up the jade bottle and opened the cap. "Look around." The next moment, he couldn't help raising his brows. Surprised, "Is it source congealing pill?" Things like source congealing pill have never been worried about not selling, especially in this black market. There are thousands of people waiting to purchase the source congealing pill every day. This kind of pill, whether in the open or in the dark, is sold out as soon as it appears. Therefore, Jin Fugui was extremely satisfied with the goods Yang Kai brought. "How many does the guest have?" Yang Kai reached out and gestured a number. Jin Fugui couldn't help but move his face. 300? The guests have such a means to get 300 source congealing pill? One source congealing pill can be used for 10 days for a First Order Void King Realm martial artist. The Second Order Void King Realm is about 6 or 7 days, the Third Order Void King Realm is only 3 or 4 days. So the number of 300 source congealing pill seems to be small, but it is definitely a lot. Any Void King Realm martial artist who obtains these source congealing pill will be able to think about the transformation of source strength in the next few years or even more than 10 years. What Jin Fugui most puzzled was, where did Yang Kai get such a large number of source congealing pill? But it was confidential, and he knew it without asking. After pondering for a while, Jin Fugui said, "There are indeed a lot of quantities, but I don't know the quality." Yang Kai smiled and said, "The treasurer can give it a try." Jin Fugui did not refuse, and nodded after hearing this, "Then please forgive Jin for being rude." While he was talking, he poured out a source congealing pill from the jade bottle, stuffed it into his mouth, and silently operated the profound arts to dissolve it. After a while, the fat on his face trembled slightly, and a surprise light flashed in his narrowed eyes. This was a source congealing pill that was refined by Yang Kai, after being provided with the pill recipe by the Spirit Pill Workshop. The quality was absolutely nothing trivial, and it was even better than the quality of the source congealing pill sold by Spirit Pill Workshop. Jin Fugui is also a Third Order Void King Realm, and dealing with spirit pills all the year round, how can he not judge this difference? He was secretly shocked, realizing that the origins of these source congealing pill in Yang Kai's hands were extremely likely to be extraordinary. The room was silent for a while, only Fatty Jin tapped his hand on the tabletop, again and again, as if he was thinking about something. After a long while, he said, "There is nothing to say about the quality of these batches of Source Congealing Pill. How about this price I offer to the guest?" As he spoke, he stretched out his hand and gestured. Yang Kai couldn't help but sneered, "Treasurer Jin, in your eyes, does my batch of Source Congealing Pill only have this price? If that is the case, I would be happy to go to other stores." Jin Fugui gave a light cough and said, "Guest, listen to me. This batch of Source Congealing Pill is indeed a good product, but if it is sold in a small shop, it also requires some manpower and labor. You can't earn nothing, right?" Treasurer Jin also makes sense. Yang Kai nodded, "But Source Congealing Pill doesn't have any worry about sales. I don't even need to go to any store. I just need to stand on the street and shout, 'I'm afraid it will be sold out.' Treasurer Jin, are you sure you want to give up this great opportunity to make money?" Jin Fugui's cheeks suddenly twitched and he was cruel, and once again made a gesture and said, "Then how about this price?" Yang Kai glanced at him and said, "Never mind, maybe we still have a chance to cooperate again one day." Jin Fugui frowned when he heard the words, but soon he made a decision and stood up and said, "Let's do it with the way of the guest. I hope that if the guest has a Source Congealing Pill next time, he must first consider this shop first." Naturally. Yang Kai smiled, "By the way, besides Source Congealing Pill, there are some other medicines here. Treasurer Jin can help me estimate it." The other medicines that Yang Kai said were naturally stored while helping those disciples in the Blue Feather sect to make pill refining. There were a lot of them and there were many types, but the grade and popularity could not be compared with the Source Congealing Pill. Jin Fugui certainly doesn't care about this. For him, a black market businessman, as long as he has money, or to make money is enough. At the moment, the two counted, Jin Fugui took away most of the spirit pills in Yang Kai's hand, and Yang Kai had obtained nearly 170,000 source crystals. This number finally gave Yang Kai some confidence. After all, he had helped people in pill refining at the Blue Feather sect for a month, only to earn 30,000 source crystals. And now, in only half a month, he earned 170,700 source crystals. The biggest reason is still due to the demand and expensiveness of Source Congealing Pill. After coming out of Jin Fugui's shop, Yang Kai still wore a black robe. He was not in a hurry to go back, but wandered in the black market. This kind of place is easy to find some good goods, but the probability is very small. After all, there are certainly not many martial artists who don't know the goods, and it is extremely rare to sell treasures as garbage. Yang Kai walked around, but nothing was gained. Just as he was about to go home, he suddenly heard a familiar voice from not far away, with a trace of anger and grievance in the voice. "Why are you so unreasonable?" Yang Kai was stunned when he heard it, and the charming look of a young girl flashed before his eyes. Impossible? Yang Kai thought to himself, but he hadn't been to Maplewood City for a few days, and he didn't know many people. The only voice that made him feel familiar was the girl. Curious, he hurried to go there. Not far away, a group of people were watching something, and many martial artists were pointing at the center of the field. Yang Kai separated the crowd and looked inward. In an instant, his eyes were about to protrude. On one side of that scene, a girl in a long green dress with her eyebrows frowned and looked forward. She was petite, with full chest, graceful figure, delicate face, fair skin, and the most striking thing was the big mark on her cheek. The crescent-shaped birthmark. There are still a few cloth bags hanging around the waist, bulging, and don't know what is inside it. Mo Xiaoqi. Yang Kai couldn't believe his eyes. It turned out to be Mo Xiaoqi, the innocent and clumsy girl he knew in Jade Clear Mountain. She is still alive? To be honest, Yang Kai was inexplicably relieved to see this little girl still alive, and the guilt that had always existed in his heart instantly disappeared. In the Jade Clear Mountain that day, the Holy Spirit became angry and the black flame eroded the area in 1,000 miles radius of Jade Clear Mountain, and Mo Xiaoqi was nowhere to be seen. Yang Kai thought she was dead, and felt guilty at the time. Because if he was close enough to Mo Xiaoqi, she could be pulled into the mysterious boundary bead to escape before the black flame burned everything. But it was because of a difference in thought that caused this innocent girl to die under Vermilion Bird Phoenix's anger. At that time, Yang Kai was indeed feeling a little guilty, although he and Mo Xiaoqi were not very familiar, but the other party still gave him a very good impression. There are very few girls like Mo Xiaoqi in this world. Seeing her again now, while Yang Kai was delighted, he was also a little suspicious of how she escaped from that place at the time. After all, Vermilion Bird Phoenix indiscriminate attack was too terrifying, and if he didn't have the mysterious boundary bead, he would not escape death. But thinking about it carefully, the origin of this girl is extremely mysterious, with a dazzling array of high-end artifacts. Maybe she used the power of some artifact to escape. Thinking about it this way, Yang Kai's evaluation of Mo Xiaoqi was a little higher. After all, the artifact that can withstand Vermilion Bird Phoenix angry blow is at least of the Emperor Treasure level. Mo Xiaoqi can possess the Emperor Treasure, indicating that her background may be unimaginable. But at this moment, this young girl with a lot of background is in trouble. Opposite her, a group of martial artists surrounded a young man like a moon and stars. The young man looked like a jade tree in the wind, suave and romantic, but a pair of wicked eyes kept scanning Mo Xiaoqi back and forth, especially the full pair of peak on her chest, which attract the attention of this young man. However, when he shifted his gaze to Mo Xiaoqi's face, he showed a very regretful look, as if he hated the unfairness of the creator, and his expression was full of complaints against the heaven. To be continued.